Grateful for the recommendation, our protagonist salutes his superior with a smile on his face. Patting the soldier on the back, the commander tells him to do his best out there. Acknowledging the young man's luck, the officer comments that he always knew he would get this special spot. Modest, the soldier replies that everything was only possible thanks to the chief's support. Sincere, the commander reveals that he recommended him for a very specific reason. Grinning from ear to ear, he prepares to tell the best part of the news. For someone with his profile is going to do very well in the new function. Guaranteeing that the salary will be doubled in this new intelligence position. Eyes widening in shock, the young man can barely process the information. Confirming the amount, the chief repeats that the money is very good. Imagining himself surrounded by bells and angels, the soldier feels like he won the lottery. 2 years later, the scene changes completely to the city of Dandong in China. Devouring pork ribs at a local restaurant, the ex-soldier is enjoying life. Enjoying the moment, he praises the greasy food while relaxing in his chair. Making 5 million won a month, the rascal earns a living without even leaving the house. Although some consider this a waste of tax money, considering his work vital, he believes he is serving the country well. Calling himself a satellite-level talent, he thinks he's worth billions. Deciding to start the day's mission, he gets up from the chair stretching. Given the UN sanctions following North Korea's nuclear tests, since ballistic missiles continue to be tested incessantly, reacting firmly, the United States applies heavy sanctions against the regime, leaving only one vital lifeline for the North, which is the bridge in Dandong. Situated on the border between China and North Korea, this road is closely monitored. Watched day and night by American satellites that cost a fortune. While South Korea monitors everything through our protagonist sitting in his room. Staring at the monitor all day, he admits that boredom is the hardest part. Suddenly, the sound of the door's electronic lock catches his attention. Drawing a bait quickly, our agent enters a state of total alert. But upon opening the door tensely, he runs into a familiar figure. Realizing it's just his contact, he relaxes and lowers his guard. Inviting the young man to eat, the old man complains about him slacking off during the day. Without arguing much, our agent accepts the invitation and puts away the weapon. Arriving at the busy street, they go to a noisy restaurant. Shouting the order, the waitress Ling Ling rushes to attend to table 2 in a hurry. Admiring the girl's beauty, our protagonist is mesmerized for a moment. Teasing the lad, the old man says he's going to end up boring a hole in the girl's face with all that staring. Hiding his embarrassment, he changes the subject, asking about truck 9330. Serious, the veteran confirms that the vehicle still hasn't appeared on the border bridge. Known as Old Man Choi, this gentleman is the senior intelligence contact, operating a human espionage network in China for over 20 years. Interrupting the work talk, the food finally arrives at the table. Smiling, the waitress Ling Ling wishes the 2 customers a good meal. Thanking her like a fool, the boy is enchanted by her friendliness. Shoving a huge piece of meat into his mouth, the old man devours the meal with gusto. Praising the lad's Chinese pronunciation, the old man continues chewing. Bragging about his experience, the young man says he has already gotten used to the city. Changing his tone of voice, the veteran warns him never to lower his guard there, for Dandong is a true powder keg ready to explode at any moment. Seeming peaceful on the surface, the city hides deadly dangers in the shadows. Like wolves among sheep, there are spies from various countries infiltrated in the region, including the Triad, which is one of the largest criminal organizations in the world. Besides the mysterious Room 39 of the Workers' Party of North Korea, gathering all kinds of dangerous people in one place, the tension is constant. It takes just a small spark to cause an incident of huge proportions, affecting the whole world if something goes wrong on this unstable border. Questioning if the concern is because of that missing truck from Pyeongbuk, since the Room 39 vehicle hasn't shown its face for days. Confirming the suspicion, the old man says he has an urgent extra job for today. Informing that there will be a tried drug transaction and he needs photos. Complaining immediately, the young man questions why he has to do field work. Reminding him that he is an office pigeon agent and not a combat falcon. Giving a lecture about camaraderie, the old man tries to convince the young agent. However, upon hearing the promise of a fat bonus, his attitude changes instantly. Offering 5 million won, the old man ensures the lad's cooperation. Hiding in the bushes at night, he begins to take photos of the criminal transaction. Observing the tribe members negotiating, he keeps the camera steady, adjusting the lens focus to capture the faces of those involved. Zooming into the max to get the details of the vehicle's license plate, astonished to recognize the truck's number in the magnified image. Realizing it is the very truck from Pyeongbuk that was missing. Confused, he doesn't understand what the Room 39 vehicle is doing at a drug exchange. Trying to report the discovery to headquarters immediately by radio. Feeling the cold barrel of a gun against his head, he freezes on the spot, being confronted by a scary man who asks if he is an enemy scout. Stuttering with fear, the young man raises his hands, begging them not to shoot. Disgusted, the gunman complains that his smell is unbearable. Demanding clarity, the enemy orders the kid to speak up about who he is. Suspicious, the brute looks around, asking if he is alone. Realizing the gravity of the situation, our protagonist understands he is screwed big time. Lying through his teeth, he claims to be just a lost traveler. But the North Korean stares with a murderous look while the young man trembles. Regretting having come for the easy money, he curses his greed. Grabbed by the collar, the agent hears a whispered threat right up close. Pressured to speak the truth, he starts sweating cold for real. Stomping mercilessly on the camera, the enemy destroys the work equipment. Questioning what a South Korean is doing snooping in Chinese territory. Insisting on the lie, the young man says he was photographing migratory birds. Out of patience for stories, the soldier kicks his face violently. Cursing the boy as trash, the man makes it clear he doesn't fall for that talk. Quickly deducing his affiliation, the enemy accuses him of being a spy. Ordering immediate execution, the chief ignores the pleas for mercy. To avoid noise, the order is to use a silencer and get it over with. While the assassin screws the piece onto the gun, our boy tries to explain himself. Claiming to be a mere photographer, the protagonist swears he just wanted to go home. However, the truth about his recruitment is quite different from what it seems. For his original military unit recommended him with fervor for intelligence. Known for absurd luck, they said he always survived everything. Smiling, remembering the past, the officer knew exactly who he was hiring. Before becoming a simple office worker, his identity was another. Considered a monster in combat by his former comrades in arms, our protagonist served in the Korea Special Warfare Command, operating under the rank of Sergeant First Class Kang Chang-song. About to take a bullet to the head, he changes his posture in the blink of an eye. Reacting with superhuman speed, the ex-military man grabs the enemy's weapon. Twisting the aggressor's wrist, he takes control of the pistol. Firing without hesitation, our protagonist eliminates the nearest threat. Taken by surprise, the other soldiers scream in shock and try to react. Using the enemy's body as a human shield, he advances fearlessly. Distributing precise shots, the surgeon takes down one opponent after another. Furious, one of the North Koreans screams, swearing the intruder to death. But with calculated coldness, the agent continues his silent massacre. Falling lifeless to the ground, the bodies pile up quickly in the dark. However, the sound of gunshots ends up alerting other forces in the area. Both the tribe criminal organization that was nearby, and the Room 39 agents who run towards the noise. Wiping the blood from his face, our hero complains about the mess this is going to make. Considering killing everyone to solve the problem once and for all. Ironically, the system still classifies him as a low-level employee. Surrounded on all sides, he sees the enemies opening fire. Seeking cover behind a low wall, the young man protects himself from the hail of bullets. Calculating the odds, he realizes that 30 against 1 is terrible. Drafting a quick plan, the goal is to get a rifle and cause chaos. Suddenly, a strange sound of gunfire catches his attention coming from another side. Curious to understand what happened, he pulls out the broken camera. Years in the lens zoom, he spies on the movement on the battlefield. To his total confusion, the scenario ahead makes no sense at all. For the North Koreans and the Triad have started killing each other violently. Completely ignoring the spy, the two groups focus on each other. Understanding nothing, our protagonist watches the fight from the best seat in the house, open-mouthed. Perhaps the soldiers mistook his attack for betrayal by the mafia. Screaming for revenge, the military thinks their scouts were killed by the Chinese. Meanwhile, the Triad, hearing the shots, assumed they were being ambushed. Fighting back with everything, the gangsters open fire against their business partners. Or maybe they never intended to close the deal honestly. Refusing to pay, the criminals demand the drugs by force of bullets. Taking advantage of divine luck, the agent decides to sneak out of there. Armed now with a stolen rifle, he feels much safer. Walking through the abandoned gas station, he sees that no one is left, searching the place for clues before fleeing for good. Thinking a shootout of this size over nothing is crazy, he continues carefully. Suddenly, something shiny on the ground captures his immediate interest. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the name Kang Chang-song echoes with respect. Commenting on the new recruit, an officer laughs at the situation, defining his skills as legendary and monstrous, recalling a past mission in foreign and hostile lands, where the sergeant presented himself with an unbelievable report, displaying boxes and more boxes of recovered military supplies. Shocked, the commander asked how the hell he managed that alone. Humble as always, he just said he got lucky and stumbled upon the material. Proud, he reports to the chief the capture of a wanted terrorist. Perplexed, the commander questions how he did that, and the answer is that it was pure luck at the market. Maintaining military posture, the soldier salutes again. Smiling, he takes the opportunity to mention that he also saved all the hostages. Upon hearing that the lad found the bandits while going to use the bathroom, the superior almost has a stroke. However absurd the story might be, the results speak for themselves. Certain that this absurd luck continues, the commander sends him on the new mission. Now in the middle of chaos, he comes across something unexpected and shiny. For right in front of him is a briefcase stuffed with hard cash. Mentally converting the amount, he reaches an impressive 2.4 billion won. Holding the bundles tightly, he can barely believe what he is seeing. Covering his face with the money, he smells the aroma of fortune. Euphoric, he concludes that this is better than any accumulated lottery prize. But remembering the mission, he tries to control his excitement to do what is necessary. On top of the pole, a security camera turns its lens in his direction. Without thinking twice, he shoots the camera so as not to leave evidence. Back at headquarters, the static monitors show that the transmission was interrupted. Destroying every piece of electronic equipment, he cleans the crime scene. With the cash and the drug packages together, the treasure is ready to be hidden. Wielding a shovel, he digs a grave in the middle of the bushes. After eliminating digital evidence, the ground is clean. Throwing dirt over it, he buries the fortune and the drugs right there near the station. Mounting the motorcycle, he leaves the place with the secret well kept. Riding through the dark road, a cruel doubt corrodes his mind. Wondering if he should report the find to his superior, he hesitates. For the image of that mountain of money won't leave his head. Immediately, the memory of his family in Korea comes to the surface. Being the breadwinner for his orphaned siblings, the money would change everything. Perhaps the best thing is to keep his mouth shut and guarantee their future. After all, no one saw anything and the secret would die with him. Back to civilization, the busy streets hide new dangers. Between neon signs and alleys, he tries to orient himself in the city. However, greed soon gives way to panic when he notices something wrong. Police cars and officers block the perimeter, indicating a serious crime scene. Realizing that the agency's hideout has been compromised, he freezes. His thoughts fly straight to the veteran who built that espionage network. Seeing the mentor's state, he understands that the situation is critical. With the death of the contact, he is totally isolated in hostile territory. Since several dangerous factions are in the city, chaos is imminent. Automatically, the entire list of infiltrated human agents has been leaked. At this moment, every second spent standing still increases the chances of being eliminated. Speeding down the road, the sign indicates the way to escape. Destination set, he heads for the port of Dalian in Liaoning province. Flying low over the asphalt, he races against time on the bike. For when the superior dies or disappears, the clear rule is that survival is individual. Obeying evacuation orders, he heads to the safe house. Entering the secret hideout, he hopes to find protection. Standing before the red device, he prepares to call for help. Entering the panic code 505, he alerts headquarters. Leaning against the booth, he waits anxiously for someone to answer. As soon as the call connects, he grips the handset tightly. Reporting his field identity, he advises that he has reached the shelter. Hesitant, he begins to break the news about his superior. Straight to the point, he advises that the veteran agent is dead. Aware that his identity has leaked, he begs for help in extraction. Suddenly, bright lights from a vehicle invade the place. With his hand on the phone, he turns around surprised by the quick arrival. To his surprise, his wrists are cuffed with cold metal immediately. Sitting in the dark car, he stares into the void, understanding nothing. Beside him, an agent points a pistol, ensuring he tries no funny business. Outraged by the treatment, he asks if it's some initiation joke. Ignoring him, the man in black orders him to put his finger on the scanner. Pressing his finger on the reader, the system initiates the scan. Quickly, the database searches for the biometric match. The data matches, and Sergeant Kang's file appears confirmed on the screen. Advising headquarters that the target is legitimate, the tension decreases slightly. Justifying the aggression, they claim that precaution is necessary. Grumbling, he says he understands since he doesn't have much choice. Unexpectedly, his vision is blocked by a hood thrown with force. Dragged through corridors, he is told to shut his mouth and keep moving. Finally, in an isolated room, they tell him not to leave until further orders. Freeing his hands, the guard says he has everything he needs inside. Left to his own devices, they tell him to sleep because it is already late. Saying that the interrogation is for tomorrow, the agent says goodbye. In the silence of the room, the ticking of the clock is the only sound left. Waking up in the safe room, our protagonist feels the weight of the situation fall on his shoulders. The memory of Old Man Choi's death on the day of the shootout returns with full force. Aware that the enemy assassination force is connected to that confusion. For the guys will come with blood in their eyes to erase any witness. Visualizing his own massacre, he knows the chance of dying is extremely high. Still in bed, the conclusion is obvious that he needs to flee China urgently. His only hope is that the agency plans a safe escape route. During the night, the silence of the hideout only increases his anxiety. But at the break of day, reality knocks on the door brutally. With a scream of disbelief, he receives the order to return to work. Outraged, he argues that this is basically committing suicide. However, the agent in the suit insists that headquarters guaranteed safety. Indignant, our hero demands to know where they got this absurd certainty from. Calmly, the superior explains that it is precisely because he is a nobody. Silence takes over the room while he processes the strategic insult. Not understanding the twisted logic, he asks for a more convincing explanation. After all, everyone knows that the Yahello River Bridge is constantly watched, and the world's intelligence agencies know that he exists there. But it's simply not worth the effort or cost to eliminate him now. Sweating cold, the young man tries to argue against this crazy theory. Beating his chest, he shouts that he is an important satellite-level agent. Cold as ice, the man in the suit clips his wings on the spot, throwing in his face that if he disappears, another employee will take his place tomorrow. The final order is to swallow his tears and return to his post immediately. For to the organization, a rookie agent is just a disposable piece, so no enemy will waste ammo hunting such a small fish. Defeated and with a wounded ego, he returns to his monitoring desk. Slumped over the equipment, he questions his own insignificance. Sniffling sadly, he laments not even being worthy of being assassinated. Suddenly, the door opens, interrupting the moment of self-pity. With a violent blow, the gang boss jams a knife into the wooden table. The proof of the crime is a package of drugs pierced by the blade. The leader's look promises pain and suffering for whoever betrayed the trust. Meanwhile, in the hideout, our protagonist finds a small axe on the floor. Smiling in a somewhat psychotic way, he seems happy to be armed. Changing the scene to the center of Dandong City under the night lights. Bringing the axe down without mercy, a man screams in terror on the floor. Begging for his life, the subordinate swears he would never sell drugs secretly. Ignoring the pleas, the Black Dragon Society boss advances. With the blade pressed against the victim's forehead, he demands the absolute truth. The accusation is direct that he stole the merchandise from the gas station. In panic, the man denies everything, shaking like a leaf in the wind. Around them, other bodies of those already punished litter the warehouse floor, stating that they deal with contraband from Malaysia and not with that. Screaming, the guy insists that those drugs were never stolen by them. In tears, the man asks if they think he would be crazy enough to rob his own gang. Observing the scene closely, the vice boss decides to intervene in the conversation. After analyzing the drugs, he comments that the quality and texture are inferior, convincing the boss that the subordinate would have no reason to lie. Pulling the axe away from the poor guy's face, the mood becomes a little less tense. Agreeing to believe his word, at least for now. Thanking the heavens and the boss, the man thinks he escaped death. But in a sudden and cruel movement, the leader attacks again without warning, severing the guy's hand to make it clear that the punishment is real. Declaring that if the Triads are the kings of all China, there in Liaoning province the Black Dragon rules and no one else. Gathering his army of criminals, he prepares the next move, for he concluded that some idiot dared to attack their transaction site, stealing both the methamphetamine and the cash from the negotiation. Imagining that these thieves must be spending the dollars like water now. Recalling the old intelligence man they killed recently, the boss orders his men to hunt down all Koreans linked to him. The express order is to bring everyone to the warehouse right now. With a sadistic smile, he promises to rip off the thief's face while still alive, demanding they capture the targets even if they need to tear off some limbs. With a quick dodge, our protagonist enters total combat mode, escaping by a hair's breadth from an axe blow aimed at his neck. The firm block with his arm stops the next attack. Eyes widening, the enemy didn't expect such technique from a kid. A brutal and precise punch hits the aggressor's chin squarely. Seeing two more henchmen advancing with knives in hand, grabbing the first one's wrist with impressive speed. With a technical throw, he tosses the bandit over his shoulder. The blade flies away and sticks into the floor with the impact of the fall, and the rival's body crashes down the stairs violently. Looking with contempt at the floor, our hero sees the fallen enemy. Outside, the night covers the building where the interrogation is taking place. Ordering the prisoner to wake up, he kicks the guy impatiently. Cursing a lot, the tied-up bandit demands to be released right now. Furious, the criminal screams, asking if he knows who he is talking to. Dry and direct, our protagonist answers a simple no, presenting himself as Dandong, the vice leader of the Fire Bear gang. With total indifference, the agent just says a dull okay. Confused by the lack of fear, the bandit questions what the hell he is. Trying to guess the lad's identity, the mobster frowns. Bragging about his connections, he cites the protection of the Black Dragon Society. Laughing in his face, the agent reminds him that they are just subordinates of the Triad, slapping him in the face to teach him to respect the hierarchy. Because in practice they are outsourced by the outsourced, a total joke. Ironizing the situation, the protagonist says there's no way to recognize a nobody. Outraged, the bandit retorts, saying that no one knows the agent's mother either. Praising the prisoner's Chinese, the young man threatens to smash his face with a weight. Meanwhile, the city sleeps unaware of what is happening in that apartment. Typing frantically on the laptop, the report needs to be sent, requesting the immediate closure of the base to agency command. After all, the interrogation revealed the reason for the old contact's death, discovering that the Black Dragon killed Old Man Choi over a clothing store. In truth, the Fire Bear gang only wanted to get the Koreans in the building, not knowing that a rascal had stolen the money and drugs before. Now that he arrested the vice leader, the war against the Triad is inevitable. Awaiting the evacuation order, he stares at the computer screen. The email notification arrives with the reply from headquarters. To his despair, the request was denied and they told him to film a new target. Putting his hands on his head, he realizes he is completely screwed. Taking the blame, he knows this whole mess is his responsibility. Suddenly, the sound of the electronic lock announces an unexpected visitor. Turning quickly, he hears someone call out a racist nickname. A woman armed with a knife enters the room looking for her brother. In movies, secret agents are always elegant and mysterious, drinking champagne and wearing tuxedos while saving the world with class. But in real life, our protagonist is in a green tracksuit and looking bored. Asking in whispers if her little brother is in there, the intruder reveals herself as Wang Q-jen, the boss of the Fire Bear gang. Lunging with the knife, she didn't like his mocking laugh. Shouting curses, the woman tries to cut the agent's neck. Clenching his fist tightly, he prepares the counter-attack. With a bang, the impact throws the aggressor far away. Flying at the henchman, he starts distributing beatings everywhere. Ordering the intruder's death, the bandits advance in a group. Dodging with agility, he grabs a tool to defend himself. Hitting one of them in the head, the blow is precise and brutal. Shocked, the enemies can't believe he took down four so quickly. Although reality is much dirtier and more tiring than the cinema. Holding a hammer, he accepts that this is his destiny. For movies and real life are completely different things. Calling the suckers to the fight, he provokes them with the hammer in hand. Outside, a black van brakes abruptly in front of the building. Grumbling about the incompetence of youth, the driver gets out. Exiting the vehicle, a robust man slams the door in anger. Looking at the lit window, he locates the extraction target, confirming if that is the location of Pigeon Agent number 5. Climbing the stairs, the heavy reinforcement finally arrives. It is a NES black agent specialized in field combat. Entering the room, he asks if the lad is the so-called pigeon. Relieved, the boy confirms and asks if he's Peregrine Falcon 9. Remembering the message from headquarters that denied closing the base, grabbing the rookie by the collar, the veteran demands explanations. Scolding him, he says the basics of espionage is not getting caught. Indignant that an elite agent had to come save a rookie from mere bandits. Complaining about having to play the nanny, he is furious with the situation. Apologizing fake like our protagonist lowers his head annoyed. Pushing the kid aside, the big guy assumes command. Questioning about the filming mission of the Room 39 leader. Showing the photo of the car with the Pyongyang plate, the job was done. Ordering immediate withdrawal, the superior tells them to get out of there. However, the rookie raises his hand warning that there is a small problem. Pointing to the bedroom, he asks the boss to take a look. Upon opening the door, the veteran widens his eyes in total shock. Seeing the pile of tied-up bandits, he asks if the boy has gone crazy. Realizing belatedly, the protagonist admits they have already seen his face. Giving him a nasty scolding, the veteran complains that he exposed the base in his own face. On the defensive, our protagonist says he was ambushed and had no choice. However, the superior cuts the crap, ordering him to shut up. Decided to clean up the mess, the agent decrees the boy's immediate dismissal. With gun in hand, he orders the young man to leave the country tomorrow and never return. Nervous and stuttering, the youth refuses the absurd order on the spot. Threatening, the veteran swears to kill him personally if he steps in China again. Sweating cold with anger, our hero thinks he can't lose the job no matter what. After all, he needs to recover the 2 billion won buried before disappearing. Looking at the door, he desperately seeks a way out of this mess. About to shoot the hostages, the black agent scares everyone with his coldness. Facing the pistol barrel, the bandits start murmuring in total panic. But the rookie interrupts the execution, calling the boss's attention. Confused by the amount of people, the veteran questions why there are so many prisoners there. Doing the math quickly, the lad says about 15 more crashers showed up at the party. Furious, the veteran screams that killing 17 civilians is terrorism and not espionage. Ignoring the scolding, the boy puts his hand on his chin, thinking about the real problem. For the priority is to discover how to clean up the mess of the exposed identity. Suddenly, a light bulb lights up in his head with a brilliant idea. Suggesting a perfect solution to resolve everything in silence, he lets out a sinister laugh. Staring at the kid's psychotic smile, the elite agent realizes he is dealing with a lunatic.